What's up everybody, welcome back to Rants and Headaches. I was not planning on filming today, but here we are. I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw this trailer Tucker Carlson posted for a documentary he's got coming out November 1st, and yikes. This is some fear-mongering bullshit. I'm just amazed. I'm amazed, I'm scared, I'm disappointed. There's so many words that I could use to describe how I felt watching this 1 minute and 24-second trailer, which we will be going over in this video. Okay, so before I start playing any of that for you and sharing my thoughts, January 6th. At the time everything was happening, I was at work. I don't remember which job I was at, to be honest with you. But I remember looking at my phone and I saw some tweet about, people storming the Capitol. I thought, okay, whatever. Didn't think it was that big of a deal. The next image that I saw that startled me was the image of that firebomb that went off in front of the Capitol. So that fire that you see in that image was only up for like a few seconds. But that picture was certainly very startling. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, this is a bit more serious than I initially thought. And unfortunately, this is one of those things that's just become so political. It's so hard to just get the facts really about anything anymore, which is really frustrating. Anyways, I have a lot of MAGA friends, so like within hours, they were out there with their conspiracy theories. These were people who just dressed up like Trump supporters. Trump supporters wouldn't really do this. This whole thing was just organized and planned to make Trump supporters look bad, and I was over it. Like, I think I even said to one of them, I'm like, are conspiracy theories the only thing Trump supporters have to contribute to society? Seriously. Really, seriously. You don't know anything about this. Just happened an hour ago, and you're here with all this info all of a sudden. No, you're not. You don't have any actual information about what went down. You're just angry. And because you're angry, you have this theory now, and we're supposed to take it seriously. No, ma'am, sit down. Sit down. You do not know what happened yet. None of us know all of the facts of the situation yet. Shut up. So I think what happened was very serious. I was definitely not in support of Republicans who were like, well, we should just move on from this event like the next day. No. Let's not. Let's look into what happened. Let's gather some information. Let's figure out what actually went on here. Who planted the bomb, by the way? I believe that question has not been answered. How has that question still not been answered when so many people have been investigating this? But anyways, after January 6th, I think just the fallout from all of that and just the way people just pick sides and the way everything just became so political. Whereas if you hated Trump, you thought January 6th was the worst thing this country has ever seen, which I personally do disagree with. I'm sorry. And if you're a Trump supporter, you think it was either no big deal at all, or you think that it was all just a sham to make Trump supporters look bad. So my thing is this. I do not think that we should be dismissive of what happened that day, but everyone who claims to have some version of events that involves some type of theory about what happened, like, it just comes from sources that can't be trusted. Tucker Carlson, for example. I don't trust the guy. I can't relate to people who do trust the guy. I mean, he's just a political hack. He's not a serious dude. But that's the problem. Instead of having real conversations about what actually took place, we're all talking about propaganda and conspiracy theories instead of the actual footage and actual statements and all of that stuff. And it's really annoying. For example, someone on TikTok was talking about January 6th and acting like it was this big thing that it was not. Yes, what happened was awful, but let's not act like it was bigger than it was, like it was something that it was not. In fact, parts of the Capitol you see people wandering in who aren't part of the riot, who aren't doing anything wrong, and I brought that up, and he told me that I was defending terrorists. My comment literally defended the people who were not doing anything wrong or anything illegal. So, can you explain to me how that is defending terrorists, please? Like, people have just let themselves become so completely emotional and enraged over what happened that day that nobody can have a rational conversation. And this bullshit from Tucker Carlson is not fucking helping. So without further ado, let's just start watching this bullshit. Okay, so right off the bat, you really get the sense immediately that this is nothing but propaganda. You're not going to see something truthful, you're not going to see something fact-based. You're just about to watch something that is meant to be divisive, that is meant to push this country closer to war. That is genuinely what I believe this trailer was meant to be. Like, at this point, I figured, okay, propaganda, Tucker Carlson, I mean, shit, whatever. But it was after this next clip that the red flag started going up. The War on Terror 2.0? Really, buddy? I know this seems like a kind of a minimal tangent to go off on right now, but you know how conservatives are always complaining about people embracing a state of victimhood? That shit drives me nuts. Why? Because conservatives have no problem talking about it whenever they feel targeted. If you get to talk about it when you feel singled out and you feel targeted, why is it so wrong and pathetic and weak if anyone else talks about it when they feel targeted or singled out? And what's amazing to me about that is how much time Tucker Carlson talks about elitism. But that's all this guy is. How does anybody take this guy seriously? So much of his content is just a matter of saying, I think I should be able to do things, but if other groups want to do those things, they're in the wrong. They're weak. They're destroying this country. They're leading us down a dark path. But the War on Terror 2.0? Oh my gosh. And if you don't know where we're going yet, for those of you who aren't too familiar with Tucker Carlson's commentary, this is him convincing his conservative audience that they are all victims, that they are all targets, that they are all about to be forced to go to war in their own defense. I genuinely believe, I wholeheartedly believe, that Tucker Carlson wants war in this country. I don't know if he has gotten in with some weapons contractors. I don't know what this guy's deal is. I really don't. But there's gotta be some agenda more than what he thinks is politically best for this country, even if that means war. There's gotta be something in it for this guy. Some type of huge profit or reward. But for those of us who genuinely do feel like MAGA has gotten to the point where they are willing to commit violence to get what they want, shit like this doesn't help. Stuff like this is probably why people think like that. So maybe don't act like you're willing to go to war with anyone who disagrees with you, and people wouldn't think that. I mean, there's always going to be some crazies out there. There's always going to be some people who are twisting your words or taking things out of context, which I do think is a problem in these conversations that we're having. But Tucker Carlson invites that kind of thought process, invites that kind of questioning. He makes you think that he's sketchy. If he doesn't want us to think he's sketchy, then why is he putting shit out like this? And there it is. The plot against the people. Tucker Carlson wants war so damn bad. That's all this is about. This is not coming from a place of loving this country. This is selfish. This is so selfish. He does not care about you. He does not care if the government is plotting against you. Do not take this hack seriously. Please. The plot against the people. You have got to be kidding me. How does he come up with this stuff? All this guy does is push more fear and more anger than I think I've seen anyone push. And I've listened to pretty much all of them. I will listen to just about anybody. Now, if it gets to a certain degree where it's really offensive, then yes, I will take a step back or turn it off or whatever. But the point is, I've heard some pretty extreme stuff and kept listening. This guy is doing everything he can to convince a part of this country that they will soon have no choice but to use violence to defend themselves against the government or against pretty much anyone on the political left, and it's disgusting.
The domestic war on terror is here, is coming after half of the country.
Patriot purge? You guys are the ones who want to see this country divided. You guys are the ones calling for this country to separate. That's not patriotism to me. You guys are the ones running away with your tails between your legs. So, for y'all to act like that and talk like that and then call yourselves patriots, bitch, don't make me laugh. Purge. You know, think about how much... I don't like to talk in theory about anyone being hurt or killed, but in this context, I feel like it's appropriate. Think about how hated Donald Trump was. If there were really so many powerful forces in this country who wanted to end, not just oppose politically, but end, meaning kill, destroy, Trump and anyone who supported him, how did Donald Trump make it through his presidency? He's one person. Now, I'm not saying there hasn't been any political persecution. There has. But we've also seen that from right-wingers. We've seen Joe Biden supporters turned away from restaurants and stuff too. So for y'all to sit there and act like you're the only ones ever facing any type of consequence for what you stand for, that's just not entirely accurate. Now is it?
The helicopters have left Afghanistan, and now they've landed here at home.
And the left is hunting the right.
The left is hunting the right. If you're being hunted, what are you to do? Turn and defend yourself. Now, if you're not being hunted, and someone wants you to fight anyways, what do they want to convince you of? That you're being hunted, and you must defend yourself. This is absolutely sick. This guy is off the deep end. This shit is insane. For all your talk about how other groups are embracing victimhood, you guys are dying to be persecuted. You want persecution so bad. But even more than persecution, you want war to break this country apart. Tell me more about what a patriot you are.
Sticking them in Guantanamo Bay for American citizens, leaving them there to rot.
We are...
Okay, that image of the waterboarding. What information could Trumpists possibly have that anyone would even think to torture them for that information? For real. These people don't have anything to contribute. There is nothing to take from them, whether you hurt them or not. They have nothing but fear-mongering bullshit. That's not worth waterboarding anybody over, even if I was on board with this shit, which I'm not, because it's not fucking real. Now, if he would just talk about stuff that actually fucking mattered, instead of trying to make it this blown out of proportion, you must prepare for war fucking bullshit, then I wouldn't have a problem. For example, if you want to make the argument that the rioters of January 6th are not getting fair trials or have been held longer than they should have, or those things, which are things Tucker Carlson and others have raised alarms about, that's fine. Have a conversation about that. Let's talk about that. I am always down to talk about justice. But to actually use this kind of disgusting imagery to scare people, that's all this guy... How does anybody take this bitch seriously? This is meant to terrify and enrage people who who watch Tucker Carlson, people who are his viewers, who are loyal to his viewpoints. That's what this is meant to do. Provide the damn evidence that January 6th rioters have been waterboarded at any point in fucking time. You are just using this inflammatory imagery to get an emotional response from people, to get them to feel a certain way, to get them more open to committing violence, because you have convinced them that they have no choice other than violence. That is the point of this bullshit. Has nothing to do with the facts, has nothing to do with the truth. This is emotional manipulation, and it's pathetic.
We are dealing with an insurgency in the United States.
Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to homeland.
I've been told that I'm a white nationalist. Me!
Now this part I am a little bit confused on. So when it comes to white nationalism, a lot of people, I am no longer conservative, but my God, I'm not a liberal. Okay, because so many of them have just adopted this mentality of anything I don't like, well, I can just call it white nationalism and then I don't have to think about anything. So I'm not on board with that crap. But I don't get why the quote from Joe Biden was included. I think that quote was ridiculous. There are far more concerns that this country has than white nationalism. I do think that has been vastly blown out of proportion. But then on the flip side of that, you have people like Tucker Carlson acting like it's not an issue at all. There was actually a lynching in Atlanta a couple of years ago. There was one this past year or so that happened in another state. Every now and then this does happen. That's a much bigger deal than someone's feelings being hurt over how they were treated at work, or someone calling them a name, or making fun of their appearance. So when it's targeting people and ending their lives, I don't think you can argue that it's a total non-issue, I'm sorry. But I do find it really curious that he brought that Joe Biden quote into this video. Is he really just coming out and saying that I'm a white nationalist? And are these the lines that he's trying to draw? Is he trying to say it's Joe Biden versus white nationalists? Or is he trying to say it's Joe Biden versus MAGA? Because of all the quotes he could have picked, why did he pick that white nationalist one for this short 1 minute and 24-second trailer? Why that quote? Why? Why?
FBI, throw your hands up!
They've begun to fight a new enemy in a new war on terror.
Not Al-Qaeda, white supremacy.
You want to be oppressed so fucking bad, and if you can't get it, you're just going to make it fucking happen. Is that it? For a lot of MAGA people, I think that really is part of it. There is some weird persecution complex that they have, and it's bizarre. But in the case of Tucker Carlson, I genuinely at this point am convinced he wants war. He wants war, and that's what he's aiming to do, and he has the influence to do it, I'm sorry. That's what makes this trailer so freaking terrifying. This wasn't a trailer made by some YouTuber who averages 10 views a video, like I kind of do. This is a guy who has millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of viewers. And he is telling his audience, you are the enemy, and these other people are coming for you, so you better be prepared to fight. Why would he send that kind of message if he didn't want war? If I'm misunderstanding something, by all means, someone explain it to me. Someone break it down for me. I think this was designed to do two things. I think this was designed to convince his viewers that people are coming from them and they better prepare to fight. And I think this was also intended to make people like me more afraid of MAGA and white nationalism and feel the need to attack. I think he is trying to prepare the right and provoke the left into doing something so atrocious that there would be ultimately, objectively, possibly no other option but to go to war. When I watched this the first time, my first reaction was obviously pretty emotional and just, this is insane nonsense. People take this seriously. That's scary. I think this is very calculated. Leave a comment. What do you think his agenda is? Either way, it's bad. This is a bad character. This guy is bad news. But what do you think his agenda is? Do you agree with the feeling I'm getting from it, or do you think I'm totally off base? What are your thoughts on this? Because this shit is nuts.
False flags have happened in this country. One of which may have been January 6th.
Okay, I've already shared that I do think people take January 6th out of context. For example, to suggest that January 6th was worse than 9/11, that is some bullshit. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No. No. It was not. Okay? It was not. But that's the problem with this emotional manipulation. He's throwing just enough truth in there and just enough facts to keep his audience on board and make them go, yeah, you know, that makes a lot of sense to me, because I do feel like I am seeing that in my everyday life. And the left is kind of playing into that. So, as pissed off as I am at Tucker Carlson right now, y'all on the left aren't exactly innocent, shall we say. I'm sorry, but you helped create the environment that has led to all of this. It's not just certain people on the right who have big audiences. The left is responsible for where we are now as well. And acting like anyone who slightly disagrees with you about what happened January 6th is this enemy of the country is not exactly helping the situation. For example, there was some, it might have been AOC, could have been somebody else. There was someone who was trying to like make a list of Trump voters, get all their information and just, and basically track them after January 6th. And I get that people had these emotional reactions, but you know what? Even when you have an emotional reaction, there are consequences to that. You have contributed to MAGA being afraid of persecution. Yes, some of it is nonsense. Yes, some of it is someone just fanning the flames and being outrageous and doing what they can to either make money from clicks if there's some kind of influencer, or in Tucker Carlson's case, influence people for things that I think are frankly a lot more sinister. So, as much as I hate this whole fucking thing, the false flag statement might be the only thing in all of this that I agree with, but that's just because I am willing to criticize the left as much as I'm willing to criticize the right. It is not because I think it's the kind of false flag these fucking people are trying to make it out to be.
This truth is marching on.
It's not a right-wing propaganda video if you don't throw a little religion in there. His truth is marching on, huh? This is meant to divide. This is meant to infuriate his base and make them go, you know what? We're sick of being victims. We need to fight back. That is what I genuinely believe this is designed to do. Now, for those of you who genuinely are concerned about MAGA committing some kind of violence, whether it's storming the Capitol again or going after some other type of group, targeting members of Congress, or actually attacking some area with a full, like, militia, I'm not trying to be that person, but January 6th really was nothing compared to what could have happened. So, after January 6th, everyone was calling it insurrection, and I was kind of like, I don't know if that's really the right word for it. I called it a riot. But the reason I did that wasn't because I'm like, oh, I just don't want to recognize what happened. It's a matter of, it was unorganized, it was chaos, it was all over the place, it was it was 100 or so hooligans doing things they shouldn't have been doing, but it was not this organized attack. Look at the rally. There were tens of thousands of people there. Tens of thousands. I hate to put it this way, but if they really wanted to go into the Capitol building and kill everyone there, I don't think they would have had a problem doing that because of how many people they had. If that's really what they wanted to do, they could have done it, is the point I'm making. Now, are we going to see that kind of scenario? I absolutely hope not. But when people like Tucker Carlson are pushing shit like this, what the hell are we in for? What are people like him, what are elites, yes, elites, like Carlson, up to? What is it they really want? He's not here to expose the truth. This is a bit, what we saw in this trailer was pure political propaganda. So whatever this documentary is, it's not about exposing the truth, it's not about telling the true story or going over the facts. It is about convincing people that they will continue to be targets unless they're willing to go to war. I mean, am I overreacting here? Is there any good outcome from that? Could there possibly be any remotely positive reasoning behind doing something like that? If I'm wrong, tell me. But I think this is extremely sinister, and Carlson is far more evil than I certainly ever thought. I mean, I might have disagreed with the guy, but Jesus Christ, what the fuck did we just watch? I mean, he is genuinely trying to blow up this alternate reality big enough that enough people want to go to war. That is the only conclusion I can come to. So anyways, I guess that's all I have. I'm disappointed, I'm sad, it's just upsetting. I'm not one who goes around saying that the United States is the greatest country on earth. Not because I don't love America, but because I think that's illogical. But I do love this country. And it's really, really sad that so many people want to see it die. That so many people want to see it torn apart and just don't care. The world doesn't revolve around you. The United States does mean something to a lot of us. And we don't want to see it torn apart by a bunch of, frankly, fucking maniacs. This country is so torn, and it's been very torn for a while. And that's very sad, but it's worth holding on to. We might have our differences, and you know what? A lot of those differences aren't going to be just overcome. I'm not just going to sit here and say, well, if we just hang in there, things are going to get better. There is no quick fix to where we are. But becoming divided and broken and destroying ourselves from within, like Carlson wants, is not the answer. And honestly, I don't know what else to even say about this trailer. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? And if you enjoyed this video, half this video, or even a quarter of this video, please hit the like button and don't be afraid to subscribe.